The Creator. Shadows of the Soul, Chapter 5, Where Souls Meet. Danny finds himself in a surreal dreamscape. The surroundings are otherworldly, misty with shadows and glimmers of light weaving together. He looks around, finding that he's in a field which feels both familiar and also alien. And he has the palpable sense that something important is about to happen. The dream is unique, for he can watch himself below writing the story about the author who's in love with the mysterious woman. It's almost an out-of-body experience, and watching himself, he says, "Wow, that's me. I do that all day. How do I do it?" The dreams were coming more often now, each one pulling the author deeper into a place that felt almost real. And every time, she was there, waiting, the mysterious woman. But this time it would be different. He returns his attention to the dreamscape that he finds himself in. The mist parting, revealing the mysterious woman of his own standing at a distance. He can sense that she has a message for him, something to impart, something to say that bears on their very relationship. She is both herself and something a lot more, a figure of light and shadow, representing the intersection of two separate worlds. She beckons him forward. "You know why you're here, right?" And the protagonist, confused, says, "Where am I, and what is this place?" Galatea says, stepping closer, "This is the space between where reality and fiction meet. You created me, but I am more than that now. I am part of you, the part of you that you've been ignoring, the truth that you've been avoiding." Danny tries to grasp her words. The truth about what? And Galatea smiles sadly. "About yourself. You've been living a shadow of a life, hiding behind your stories, your failures, but now it's time to face the truth, to decide what you really want, to cross that street that's forbidden, that street that your parents might have said, 'Don't play on the other side of the street.' Well, you're a man now, and you can play on the other side." And the writer reaches out to touch her. "And what if I can't? What if I'm already too far gone, stuck behind the stories that I've told myself and others?" And the mysterious woman, his imaginary friend, takes his hand, her touch warm and real. "Well, then you'll be lost in this place forever, trapped between what is real and what isn't real. But you have a choice. You always have a choice, Danny." He steps closer, the distance between them closing, but he's still unsure. Where is this place, and what am I supposed to do anyway? And the figure of fiction says, her voice resonant, urgent, "This is the space between, the place where our worlds touch. But it is fleeting, unstable. To truly meet, to truly connect, we need to find the nexus, the midpoint, the place where both of us can be real." "Two different worlds?" Danny asks. "Why, of course," Galatea says. "Your world of reality, the physical world, and the world you created with me, the world of fiction." He processes her words. "So there's a midpoint, a nexus of our two worlds. Where can I find this net? And how do I know that it's even real?" And the imaginary friend, fading slightly, her voice growing distant, says, "You'll know. Look for the signs and trust in what you feel. And remember, the nexus is where the journey begins." Danny tries to grasp her, perhaps even embrace her. But the lady of his dreams, the fictional character, fades completely. A dream come true that simply wasn't anymore. The echoes of her words lingering in his mind. The memory of her touch now a caress. The study feels both familiar and unsettling. His fictional friend is with him, but she's changed. She's more grounded, more real, more physical. And they talk about the nexus, expanding on the dream's message. I've been meeting you when I write in dreams and in visions, and when I encountered you at the cafe and at the bookstore, but it's always brief and limited, and I can only write for so many hours before I start to get completely exhausted. So, Galatea, tell me, how do we make these meetings last longer? Danny asks her. Well, if we did, you wouldn't have as much time to write. And Danny says, well, it's well worth the sacrifice. And she says, well, we need to find a midpoint, a nexus. You're in one world, the physical world, and you've created a world for me to live in, the world of fiction. We need a place where we can have the worlds overlap and spend what you might call quality time together. Well, if you ask me, it sounds like something right out of a sci-fi movie. Can I find this place on an internet navigation system? Or maybe on my iPad? Because I'm not aware of a way to get there. And his imaginary friend laughs lightly. No, Danny, it's not something you can find with an app. The Nexus is a place where reality and fiction intersect. It's a point where both of us can exist more fully with each other. But finding it won't be easy. It requires more than just words on your typewriter and computer. It involves a leap of faith. Danny leans back skeptical. Well, this all sounds good, but how do I know this isn't just a figment of my imagination? What if this nexus, this entire experience, our conversation, could it be something I've made up? And the mysterious woman gazes at him, serious, contemplative. How do we know anything, Danny? There's a philosopher from your world, she went on, Descartes. And Descartes had to prove to people that they existed before they learned anything else. But Descartes found a foundation, a basis for everything. I think, therefore I am. You see, sometimes you have to start with what you know, even if it's just a feeling, and build from there. Do you feel me, Danny? And do you feel me as something as real as you are? She touches his heart region. Do you feel me here? I do. I really do. Well, then that should be enough. You have to be able to cross that street, to make the situation real, to sustain it. It starts and it ends with you, Danny. You have to be willing to step into the unknown because you created me. All right. Let's see where this road takes us. Danny then gazes at his computer and around his study, a mixture of doubt and determination in his heart. He watches the mysterious woman who begins to fade from sight, leaving him with the task ahead. There's a sudden knock at his door, a second one, more urgent this time. He goes and opens it to find Dr. Harrison standing there, drenched from a recent rain. We really have to talk. This is out of control, Danny. I need to talk to you immediately. Oh, come in, the protagonist says. What's going on, Dr. Harrison? Listen, I'm very worried about you. And your friend Trisha, she called me. She used to set up your appointments, and she kept my number, I guess. Listen, we didn't discuss your condition, but I did promise her that I'd come and check on you. She thinks you're losing yourself in whatever this is. Harrison is nervous. He paces the living room, unwilling to take the couch seat that Danny offers him. Danny, this is all imaginary. You're caught up in a novel that you wrote about an author, and somehow something triggered. I think I have to refer you to some serious psychiatric counseling. But have you seen these things, Doc? Galatea and I, we met in a bookstore. Look at this book. It's about pasta and spiritual journeys and wine. I don't do any of these things. It's a girly book about finding yourself by eating too much. And Well, there's a handwritten note too. It's not my handwriting. These things are proofs that I'm interacting with someone else. Well, what you're trying to tell me is that the incredible is occurring, that you're able to create something on paper that takes form in the real world in physical form. I find that impossible, and I consider it insanity. It's one thing even to create something that you would animate from tissues, like that horror novel, but this goes beyond that, and even that is madness. So what are we doing here? Harrison himself looks on the verge of a nervous breakdown. So are you trying to tell me that the impossible has happened, that a fictional character somehow came to life, she's interacting with you in this world and giving you books about eating pasta and finding spirit? That would be extraordinary, truly extraordinary. At least in the horror movies, they take pieces of a body together and make something whole of it, right? And then use electricity to charge it up. Here, you're creating strictly with the words of a novel. Do you realize what you're implying? Listen, Dr. Harrison, I'm not saying that I'm right, but if you were in my shoes, meeting the character you wrote in your books, being handed books by her, books you'd never read otherwise, what would you say? You know, we have axioms, we have assumptions, yes, but you're an empiricist. Can't you adjust to the playing field for what we're witnessing? Harrison scribbles some notes and then says, I'm going to need to check on you every day. Insurance won't cover a lot of this, so I may have to charge you separately for the unpaid bills, but I can't supervise you fully without doing that. I mean, I myself, I have a license to protect. If something happens, I have to show I monitored you. Well, that's okay. I'll work with you. I'll cover the unpaid bills. Well, then we'll figure this out together, Harrison says, locking eye contact with him. But you need to promise me that you won't do anything reckless. You're walking a fine line here between reality and something else.